It is today, February 15, as we record this, the 20th anniversary of Eddie Guerrero's only WWE Championship win at No Way Out 2004. So if you've been listening to the show for a while now, Stan and I and Chino, we've talked about our feelings about this at length. So every time may anniversary, ito, we've already talked about it. So you can go look for those episodes because I'm sure they'll pop up on Spotify. So Emile, as the new kid, on the show, and also someone who was not watching wrestling during this era, you were still a toddler.
Yeah.
You were still a toddler hindi naman, 6 years old pala. You were like six
Yeah,
years
I was
old
6. Yeah.
when Eddie won the championship. So when did you discover this moment and what did you think?
I actually discovered this when I heard you guys talked about this, probably like years ago, and even though hindi ko na-witness yon when it happened, it always warms my heart every time I would watch it. Kasi, you showed your love to Eddie Guerrero every time, and you look at the crowd reaction at that moment, like just by that, I think doon pa lang naintindihan ko yung gravity of the moment. Eh. Like this is a guy, and then now the knowledge I have now of wrestling, and I have already Guerrero. I understand why that moment was as big as it is. Because he came from ECW, he went through a lot of things before he got to that moment. He got hired by WWE because he got fired. He went to rehab. Munti ka nang nagkasira sila yung family niya, and then for him to be trusted again by WWE, they hired him back, and he really made the most out of his second run. And this was the peak of that second run, was his title win. So although I am curious, I think that baka natanong ko na to sa inyo last year, but I may have forget. Baka nakalimutan ko lang. How did you guys like saw this moment for the first time? Like,
Okay, that's a
did
good
it
question.
did it air on RPN? Did it air
It
on
it
Jack?
aired, pero syempre, back in those days, we were watching it for free on a 3-week tape delay. So we knew of the moment, and when it happened, it was really good. We were, alam mo yun, we were looking forward to it. We definitely caught it when it aired sa TV, on cable TV. Okay, so this was a big deal because to contextualize it once again, first you mentioned that Eddie was an addict. He had drug problems, and if Eddie's career happened today, he would have also gotten fired for a lot of reasons. He got fired because alam mo yun, his drug problem was getting so bad that his health was affected, his decision making was affected. But now, if you get exposed as a drug addict, you're gonna be a PR liability. Tapos they'll fire you. This is post wellness policy, right? Uh, so for him to come back through those rock bottom moments of his life, that was a huge deal. Because for all intents and purposes, if you were a booker and then you saw Eddie, the drug addict, diba, you wouldn't have taken a chance on this guy, right? Uh, he was one of the original undesirable to undeniable, but not he wasn't all the way undesirable. It's just that he was a liability kasi addict siya. And you never know what the influence of drugs and alcohol would do to you. And he did get into a car accident. So it's really remarkable how he clawed back from being fired to becoming WWE champion. Then the second part of that is that Eddie was fucking small. He's big now. You can see it here. He's huge. Pero this guy was not natty, which I had to come to terms with recently. But he was like what, 5'8"? He was 5'8". And even though you look like this, you were still small, right? And back in those days, Vince McMahon did not give small wrestlers WWE Championship reigns. So this reign, pati Rey Mysterio's reign after Eddie died, those were big moments. Those were big deals under Vince McMahon. So in WCW hindi kasi Chris Benoit was able to become world champion in under Eric Bischoff, right? So the fact that Eddie was able to become WWE champion despite not being a giant like Brock Lesnar or Big Show or Undertaker, diba? Was another testament to how good he really was and how over he was as a character, as as someone to rally behind. Diba? He was CM Punk before CM Punk, really.
Oh.
Uh, so big deal, and I really enjoy that part as someone who isn't a giant, right? I'm the smallest guy of all of us five, right? So it proved to me that you don't have to be tall, you don't have to be like the biggest dude in the world, the biggest meathead in the world to become a top champion. Diba? All you got to do is work hard and be talented. So that was pretty huge. That was why I enjoyed this so much. And one of those things, it was supposed to be a routine defense for Brock Lesnar, pero Brock was on his way out of the company in 2004. So the decision was made to have Brock put him over. And it was like the best time for it. Kaya
Yeah.
it's one of those things that you didn't know until after. You weren't sure if they were really gonna pull the trigger on Eddie's reign.